Welcome to 2026. This could potentially be the first trade that I'm taking this year yet. Last week I went back to China, reconnected with my heritage, and just going back to the roots, right? Like village, the hometown, the village, and everything. The vlog is gonna come out very, very soon. This is the only week where I had the opportunity to trade, right? So I was like, you know what? I want to make sure that the first trade of 2026 sets the tone for the entire year, which means that it needs to be a A+ setup, right? It has to be a high probability trade, which I know for sure is going to work, which means once again, it needs to be aligned with the trading plan. Because this is the year of divinity, right? Like I said to my students a few days ago, 2026 is the year of divinity. And if you look up the meaning of divinity, it basically means the ability to transcend perceived limitations. And I'm going to break that entire phrase word by word, right? So transcend means to rise above. Perceived means either imposed by yourself or imposed by society or your family or your friends onto you. And limitations is simply your boundaries, your limits, right? So quite simply put, divinity is the ability to rise above the circumstances of your past, the limitations that you impose onto yourself, so that you can actually reach your fullest potential, so that you can actually make a shit ton of money. That's it, right? We need to break past our boundaries, our perceived boundaries. Anyways, that's pretty much the theme of this year, right? I want you guys to go into this year, just changing your belief, your actions, so that you can get different results. Anyways, right now I'm looking at this trade over here. I'm just very patiently waiting for price to pull back to this supply zone that I've marked up right here. Oops, it just did. I'm going to enter for sale right now. And then I'm going to explain why. Boom. All right, we just entered for the sell position right there. Let me explain why I actually entered for a sell over here. All right, so what happened was that pretty much price was in a bullish market structure just like this. And then what we saw was price is just created the internal break of structure, which means price is going to start pulling back, right? It's going to start shifting bearish to facilitate the pullback. How do I know that the pullback has already happened? Well, I saw price creating a fractal market shift just like this. Okay, price created a fractal market shift right here. And not only did price give us a fractal market shift, it also swept some available liquidity above these highs, right? So it swept the available liquidity, and that's what gave the market the fuel it needs to actually lead to this fractal market shift. And that is why I marked up this supply zone right here, that swept liquidity, and I simply waited for price to pull back to this supply zone. And this is where London session actually opened, right? Somewhere around here. London session open, push price down. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get FOMO. Like I said, this is the year of divinity. This is the year that I'm going to be disciplined, calm, focused, detached from the trade outcome. So I'm just going to wait for price to pull back, right? I will not chase price. I will wait for price to come to my desired price point. Okay? I don't chase money. I attract money. I attract abundance. And that's exactly what I'm doing right here. I just sit on my hands, it's like, okay, I'm just going to wait very patiently for price to come up to this point of interest. And when it does come out to our institutional supply zone, that swept liquidity, which have like a fractal market shift to confirm to us that the pullback has already started, we're going to enter for a sell right there without hesitation, reservation, or emotion. And that's exactly what I did just now, right? You can see once price touches point of interest, boom, straight away, go to edge flow and execute the trade itself. As simple as that. Shit. All right. That might not be a good start. All right. But anyways, like I said, this is the year that we let go of the trade outcome. I've already done my job. I've done my preparation, my analysis, my research. I'm confident that my trade idea is valid, right? Because once again, I already do my analysis. So now it's time to just relinquish control to the market, to God, or whatever, right? To the universe, whatever, right? So yeah, man, right here we have placed our stop loss at the right place. Once again, the price point that invalidates this trade idea. If price later come up and stop us out, this just means that the internal order flow is too bullish and there is just insufficient supply in the market for price to continue going down even further. And if that's the case, then we are wrong and we get out with a small loss, right? No biggie. Okay, but yeah, man, not gonna like panic, all that shit. Like I said, the goal is to just transcend, right? Just transcend, baby, right? So yeah, I'm not panicking right here. Just gonna continue holding on to the trade. Because we thinking different this time, all right? We moving different, we trade different, all right? That's the motto of edge flow. Think different, trade different. That's it. All right, the reversal is about to happen, right? So you can see right here, like what I mentioned, price is going to pull back to this supply zone that stop liquidity, because this is once again the smart money footprints, right? This is where they first enter for the sell orders. I know for a fact that price is going to do this, right? But I'm trying to figure out when. Okay, so in order for us to figure out when, we need to make sure that we combine liquidity with point of interest, right? We need to combine liquidity, timing, and point of interest. So we got liquidity right here, right? This is the point of liquidity. Location, this is the point of interest, that's sub liquidity. Timing, right? Somewhere within London Open session, which is exactly what it is right now. We're in London Open, where there's a huge amount of like volatility in the market. So when we get the holy trinity, liquidity, timing, and point of interest, all at one place just like this is where you can see like a huge amount of orders that is just about to like absolutely dump into the market itself. Like I said, just a matter of when. I just know for a fact that it's going to dump right here. It could be in the next 10 minutes, it could be the next 30 minutes, whatever it is, somewhere within London Open session itself, this move is about to happen. Okay, so us entering right here is us trying to anticipate that the move is about to happen, and us trying to get in right before the actual move happens. Because once again, timing is also about making sure that you enter at the perfect time. Not too early, not too late. If I enter for a sell right here, this would be like too early because price can just continue going up even further. If I enter for a sell after price has already do this, then this would be a little bit too late, right? Because price has already made this move, and we could have gotten these extra pips right here. So this is, us trying to really, once again, get a perfect timing as much as possible. Obviously, we can't get those zero drawdown trades. There's going to be times where price go into a little bit of drawdown before the actual move actually happens. But like I said, we try our best to, get in at the perfect timing. And to me, I was like, this is a pretty good timing, right? Because this is where the three factors, the holy trinity, matches with each other. All right, so let's go down to the lower time frame and see what price is doing. You see, this is the type of price action that only GJ will give you. This crazy, erratic price action where price can be super bullish in one moment and the next thing be super bearish as well, and then super bullish again and then super bearish as well. Once again, you can only find this type of erratic, unpredictable, volatile price action on beautiful GJ. But that is why I love GJ, right? And that is why we call it the beast, right? GBPJPY, the beast that can't be tamed. Anyways, I love trading GJ, man, precisely because of the fact that it moves so fast in one direction, right? So right now you can see we got a huge dump. And over here, this is price making like a deep pullback. Once again, this is just a classic characteristic of GJ. When price pullback, it tends to make like a very significant pullback. It rarely, if ever, makes like shallow pullback and then for price to go down even further. No, most of the time, price makes a deep pullback just like this. Have to sweep some available liquidity, maybe above this highs right here. Maybe coming up to the extreme supply zone right here before the actual move can actually happen. Okay, that's just the nature of GJ. So if you're a little pussy, you're scared of like these deep pullbacks, oh my god, price is gonna reverse and stop me out, then GJ is not for you, my friend. You're much more better off trading AU, right? AUD USD, which is quite frankly as slow as my grandma. Super duper slow currency pair. But as you know, slow is smooth, right? So if you like that slow pace of life, go and trade AU. Do not even touch GJ. But yeah, GJ is for the professional gamblers out there. Anyways, back to the concept of divinity. This is the year where I genuinely just want to unlock my fullest potential. And in order for me to do that, I need to shed my old self and transcend into the highest version of myself. So last year, a few months ago, I think last year in somewhere around June, I actually did shadow work. Okay, so for people who don't know what shadow work is basically you getting rid of your unresolved trauma, right? Like you pretty much reaching back out to your younger self and like telling him it's okay, not a shit. So I pretty much got the idea when I was watching a YouTube video and it told me that you can't manifest and attract whatever you want to get out of this life if you have all of this unresolved trauma that's in your brain, in your heart. So you need to let that shit go. And you do that by doing a shadow work session. right? So I actually tried it for the first time, like I said, in June 2025. And trust me, it was an extraordinary experience. I recommend you do it. I recommend every single person to do it because, like I said, once you really let go of all that trauma, now you're able to ascend and now you're able to really attract what you want to achieve from this life, whether that's abundance, wealth, a great life, the right person, whatever it is. So anyways, let me tell you my experience, right? And this might make you want to do it or might steer you away from it, but it's crazy. So basically, on that day which I decided to try shadow work, I sat down on my bed, cross-legged, closed my eyes, and I started focusing on my breath, and I traveled back to the night where I almost unalived myself. There was this one night, right, when I was around the age of 15 years old. I was lying in bed right next to my father, and I was just bawling my eyes out, right? Because at that point of time, I had straight C's back in school. I got bullied in school. The girl that I had fell in love with rejected me for like a chat. And we had some family problems back then. I think my dad was going through some form of like mental problem as well. And then my mom hated me because I was useless in the family. She had just told me that I was worthless, not good enough and all that shit. And I was feeling terrible, right? So like I said, I just felt incredibly depressed. Like literally at that point of time, I was diagnosed with depression, right? Clinically depressed. So I laid there on bed right next to my father, crying my ass out, and I was just wondering what's the meaning of life. What's the point of me living if I can't do anything to contribute to my family, contribute to society, contribute to the world, right? So at a point of time, I really felt like, you know what, there's no meaning for me to live anymore. So I was like, really, like, what's the point of living if I don't have a purpose? I don't have meaning. I don't actually know what I want to do in life, right? So what I did was that I laid there, continued crying. I took my blanket and I tried to cover my eyes so that my father don't hear me or see me. And at the point of time, I looked at the window. There was this small square window that was in my bedroom, right? That is like, I don't know, some form of window like all public housing actually have. And I looked straight at the window and I genuinely thought about jumping through that window. I shit you not, genuinely thought about jumping through that window and just end it all because, like I said, what's the point of living if I don't have purpose or meaning? I was really hopeless. I felt like the world was against me. I felt like God wasn't real. I felt like I was born in the worst conditions possible and I blamed everyone else but me. And I just wanted to, call it quits. And in that moment, when I was about to, take off the blanket and walk through that window so that I can, unalive myself, I heard a voice. And the voice said, hey, I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know how you're going to do it, but I can promise you that eventually everything will be okay. Eventually you'll be fine. Eventually you'll find your purpose. You'll find your meaning in this life. Once again, I don't know when, but I know you will. So as a 16-year-old kid laying in bed right there, I don't know whether that voice is from God or from the universe or it could just be like some delusion that I had in my head, but I trusted that voice. I was like, you know what? Cool. If I jump right now, my parents would be devastated and I would be even more of a burden to them, right? So why not just live on? And here's the crazy shit. I realized that when I was doing my shadow work, my present self, doing the shadow work, what I did was that I imagined myself reaching my hand out to the younger self and telling him everything is going to be okay. Eventually, you will make it. You are safe now. Trust me. Come to me. I literally said it to him in those exact words. Like I literally gave him a handshake. I literally gave him a hug. And yeah, like that's exactly what I said to my younger self in the shadow work session. So it got me thinking, what if the voice that I heard when I was 16 years old was actually me when I was 21 years old, 22 years old, doing the shadow work, right? It was my future self telling my younger self. That is why I had that voice in my head when I was laying in bed in 16. Once again, what if the presence that I felt when I was 16 years old was actually the future version of myself telling the younger version of myself that it's going to be okay, everything's gonna be fine. That is when I realized that there's a chance that time is not real. I had literally just collapsed time and space in my imagination, which is crazy if you think about it. I had literally just entered into a deep altered state where time felt non-linear. And potentially, once again, this is just a theory, I pretty much met a future version of myself that gave my younger self the message that I needed at that point of time. Once again, like that just blows my mind, because when I was laying in bed at 16 years old, like really wanted to unalive myself, I felt a physical presence. I felt a voice in my head telling me that everything is gonna be okay. Even though I was hating the world, even though everything was going wrong, but I just heard that voice, and that voice allowed me to keep going so that eventually I will become the person that I am today. Holy shit. So anyways, after, I gave my younger self a hug and I woke up from the shadow work itself, I opened my eyes, I was like crying my ass off. And bear in mind that I have never cried for like in the past 5 years. But after the shadow work itself, I brought my eyes out, I was like, man, that was a mind-blowing experience. That was something that I didn't know I needed to do, but I needed to do it because now I can finally like let go of all of this burden that was like hidden in my subconscious mind, in my heart, in my body, whatever. Like genuinely after the shadow work itself, I felt like there was this huge weight that was lifted from me. I felt so light for the first time. I felt like all this burden was like finally eliminated. And the weeks leading to that, the weeks after that, that is when I really started to transcend into a completely different person. Really becoming the person who's confident, calm, focused, charismatic, kind, compassionate, grateful, loving. I was more in tune with my higher self, all because, I had let go of the version of me that didn't serve me anymore. Let go of all the limitations that were holding me back from my ascension. And I was no longer the guy who's constantly self-sabotaging myself because I felt unworthy, I felt not good enough, I felt like I ain't shit. That same guy who gave the profits that he make back to the market, that same guy who blew multiple accounts because he felt unworthy, that guy was gone. That guy was dead, literally. So yeah, that was like a freaking life-changing experience. I really believe that everybody should do some form of shadow work because I know every single person watching this have some form of unresolved trauma, insecurities, some form of suffering that is hidden either in their heart or in their brain, that if you just don't get rid of that shit, you're gonna like drag it into your future. And it's not just gonna affect yourself. It's not just gonna hinder you from achieving your goals, but it's also gonna affect the people around you, the people that you love, right? So until you learn how to let that shit go, you will never be able to transcend into the highest version of yourself who's actually capable of achieving the goals that you are dreaming of right now. Quite simply put, you will never be able to manifest your dream life until you let go of the past self. And once again, I don't claim to be fully healed, right? I'm still an imperfect, flawed human. I believe that healing isn't a destination, it's a journey, it's a process, which means I'm still healing myself every single day through the form of breathwork, meditation, right? Like, no one is truly fully healed just because they did one shadow work session. No, it has to be like an ongoing basis. The more you do breath work, the more you do meditation, manifestation, affirmation, visualization, shadow work, all of this stuff, this internal work, that's where you begin to heal yourself bit by bit. That is where you begin to start shedding the layers of the old you that doesn't serve you anymore, so that it becomes easier to transcend into the new you, the 2.0 version of yourself who can actually win. Once again, this is not some woo-woo bullshit, right? The only reason why I can sit here and just sit through the drawdown right here, even when price goes against me, and I can just continue holding the trade without any fear, without any, second guessing myself whatsoever, is because I have this undeniable belief in myself. And that only comes when you've done the inner work, right? Like that really only comes when you've done the inner work. Like I'm sitting here, you can see Price has literally pulled back all the way up here. And at that point of time, I was down like $28,000. I shit you not, I was actually down $28,000. But I wasn't panicking whatsoever because I just have so much conviction in not just my trade idea, but myself. I know for a fact that, I've done my analysis and now it's time to let it play out. I don't second guess myself whatsoever, unlike the younger self. When I was 16 years old, where I would literally second guess every move that I make. I was insecure, I was living in lack, scarcity, and I was just scared of doing anything and everything at all, right? But right now, I don't feel this fear anymore because of the fact that I had let him go. So please go and do this. If you want to make 2026 your greatest year yet, I believe that this is a valuable experience that will really enrich your life, enrich your physical health, your mental health, and definitely your spiritual health, right? So just try out. I don't think there's any downside to it, right? But if you want, you can seek a therapist before you do it because it's going to unlock a lot of skeletons in the closet, right? So if you're afraid of that shit, just know that if you don't run towards it, if you don't face the demons, it will always have control over you. Oh my God, we are cooked, bruh. Oh my God, bruh. Come on now. Come on now, man. Come on now. GG, guys. GG, man. Fuck, man. Can't even complain, bro. Can't even complain, man. We have been making so much money in December. So I can't even complain right now, bro. It's time to, take a L, get humbled by the market a little bit. Aye. 52k loss to start of 2026. It's not looking good, bruv. Anyways, man, yep, there we go. First trade of 2026, and I'm down $52,000. Freaking hell. Honestly, I wanted to win the first trade so bad, man. Just like how I won the last trade of 2025. But last month we did pretty well. You take some, you give some. It is what it is, man. So yeah, that's it, right? Honestly, it hurts. It hurts me a lot, actually. I'm trying to be confident right now, but no, it fucking hurts. Honestly, it fucking hurts. It hurts so much. But yeah, this loss doesn't mean that I'm off. Doesn't mean that I fell off. Doesn't mean that my trading strategy is no longer working in 2026. Once again, just want to show you like the raw reality of trading itself, Anybody can talk big when they are making money. Anybody can screenshot their fake MetaTrader 4 profits. But very few people can just be transparent and tell you about their loss. And to me, I still define this as a good trade, right? Because I followed my trading rules, I defined my risk, I planned my size properly, and the outcome just didn't go my way, right? It could be part of variance, whatever. Once again, it's not the loss that hurts. It's your interpretation of the loss. It's the meaning that you give to the loss. Over here, you could sit here and sulk and say, oh, I lost 52k, I suck at trading. Or you could adopt like a different mindset and say, cool, now you got another lesson to learn, right? And this could potentially allow me to refine and iterate my trade plan so that I can actually win in the future. But yeah, man, it sucks, dude, because I really wanted the first trade of 2026 to be like a huge win, right? I was already planning for it. I kind of visualized it in my head. But this is what actually built character, right? Just understand that losses don't magically disappear when you get experience, when you've been trading for 7 years. You just get better at managing losses. So the goal isn't to avoid losses. The goal is to survive them without losing yourself. So yeah, this year didn't start with a win. It starts with composure. It starts with calmness. Tomorrow, I'm going to be back. The same process, the same standards. This is the game. I'm going to make sure that this is my best year yet, right? Just mark my words, right? I'm gonna come back, baby. And you never ever know. I'm gonna come back with weighted glove, baby. Honestly, bro, I'm kind of happy that I placed my stop loss right there, right? Once again, that was the perfect price point to get out. Because over here, price did mitigate this supply zone, right? Which proved our trade idea was right. But there was insufficient supply in the market for price to continue going down even further, right? The bullish momentum that was established on the higher time frame is just way too strong. So as a result, it just caused price to finish this minor pullback and just continue heading up, right? It is what it is. We live, we learn.